What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. It is time for Bundesliga Week 23 predictions. I just want to quickly say you have a chance to win $100 if you join the Patreon in the next week. I'll announce the winner in the Premier League video on the 26th, but because of all of the support and the fact we reached the member goal over there, I'm giving away another $100. And if we are still at the member goal, by the time the giveaway winner is drawn, I will make it monthly. $100 every month to one lucky member, and it's only $12.99 to sign up. I'll talk more later on in the video about what you actually get from the Patreon because it's a lot, and I want to get into the Bundesliga predictions. We had a very good week last week, and on the live show on Friday, we had 6 out of 7 correct tips for the Bundesliga. We had Dortmund to win, they won 4-0. Leverkusen to win, they won 4-0. The only one we got wrong was both teams to score an over 2.5 goals for Frankfurt and Gladbach. That ended 3-0, but we had Hoffenheim to win, Bayern Munich and over 2.5 goals, both teams to score, Stuttgart and Cologne, where we correctly predicted Stuttgart would win 3-1. We had Augsburg to win 2-0, they won 1-0, and we had RB Leipzig and Wolfsburg, both teams to score an over 2.5 goals. That ended 2-2. So I'm looking forward to getting straight back into it today. In fact, we also had the Bundesliga treble over on the live show. That was Dortmund, Leverkusen and Augsburg to win at odds of 4.36. So drop a like, hype the video, subscribe, and let's get into it. First game we're starting with is Mainz up against Hamburg. Now, Hamburg are, to me, they're one of the standout teams in the Bundesliga. If I look at the table here, there's not as many surprises as, to me, Hamburg being in the top half. There are a few others, Gladbach being as low as 13th, Wolfsburg being as low as 15th, and maybe Hoffenheim slightly overperforming expectations. But for me, Hamburg have been the standout team this season. Mainz, they're finally starting to play like the Mainz we used to know. They're no longer bottom of the Bundesliga, like, believe it or not, they used to be. And as you can see, they've got a lot of wins here. But for me, Hamburg are having a very good season and are outperforming the sum of their parts. But for this Friday night fixture, I do think Mainz are going to stop Hamburg's winning streak. Hamburg beat Union Berlin and Heidenheim, but they are two weaker teams in the Bundesliga. Mainz, they lost to Borussia Dortmund, but before that, 3 wins in a row against Wolfsburg, Leipzig and Augsburg, which is a better winning streak, in my opinion, than Hamburg managed. So I'm going for a 2-1 win to Mainz. I thought about both teams to score, but I actually like the home win here, so the tip is going to be Mainz to win at odds of 2.05. After this, we have a big game between Bayern Munich and Eintracht Frankfurt. Borussia Dortmund will certainly be hoping that Frankfurt can beat Bayern Munich here and then potentially close the gap to just 3 points in the title race for the Bundesliga. But I do ultimately think Bayern Munich are going to win. Last week, I believe I did actually have Bayern Munich win 2-0. I had Bayern Munich to win 4-0. They won 3-0. But it's quite rare that I predict Bayern Munich to win and keep a clean sheet. But they managed it. Frankfurt, they got the win against Gladbach and they didn't even concede. I thought that would be high scoring. I actually predicted 3-3, but Gladbach just did not show up. For this game, I think it's going to be high scoring again. I'm going to go for a 4-2 win to Bayern Munich. The tip is Bayern Munich and both teams to score at 2.05. I thought about even Bayern Munich to win and Harry Kane to score, but the odds are just so low. So I'm going for Bayern Munich and both teams to score. Next up, we have Union Berlin up against Bayer Leverkusen. Union Berlin have not won a game in a long, long time. We look back here, as far as records go, for this year, they haven't won a single game. Bayer Leverkusen, on the other hand, have won 3 of their last 4. Now, this was a little bit of a tricky one. I thought about going for a draw, believe it or not, because Bayer Leverkusen have a tricky tie in the Champions League against Olympiacos. Now, by the time this video goes up, I believe they will be a day away from playing, actually. They play tomorrow on Wednesday. So Bayer Leverkusen play Olympiacos tomorrow, and that's going to be a really tricky tie. So I thought that maybe due to that, they might struggle in this game, and I thought about a 1-1. However, recent history between the two teams suggests Bayer Leverkusen are just way better. I think Bayer Leverkusen are way better, and I think despite their Champions League efforts before this game and after this game, I'm going to sneak it with a 1-0 Bayer Leverkusen win. The tip is Bayer Leverkusen double chance and under 3.5 goals. I think the odds are pretty high at 1.9. I think that's mostly because of the under 3.5 goals, because Bayer Leverkusen, like many German teams, when they click, they can score lots of goals. Union Berlin might smell blood and try and go for it and, go for the jugular and get a lot of goals, but I don't think Union Berlin will go as far as to win this game, so the tip is supposed to keep a low-scoring draw onside. I think Bayer Leverkusen would be over the moon with a 1-0 win here, because this is, if you look at the table, this is their game in hand, essentially. I know it's actually against Hamburg later on, but if you count this is their game in hand, a win for them takes them up to 4th place in the Bundesliga, and that is the promised land. It's Champions League football. So I think they need a win here. I think it's going to be really close. I wouldn't look at Bayer Leverkusen to win outright like I did last week, but I'm going to go for a 1-0. After this, it's Cologne up against Hoffenheim. Hoffenheim obviously battered by Bayern Munich, largely due to a red card, but bounced back, beating Freiburg 3-0. They look phenomenal. Cologne have lost 2 in a row. They lost to Leipzig and Stuttgart. This is a bit of a gut feeling. I think Hoffenheim, I can understand why they're the favourites, but I'm going to go for a bit of a shock. 2-2 draw. The tip is, of course, going to be both teams to score and over 2.5 goals at odds of 1.8. Could I see Hoffenheim winning and both teams scoring? Yes, but I just think Cologne are going to be able to get something from this game. Like I said, it's a gut feeling. Stuttgart are literally way up in 3rd. Cologne are down in 12th. Hoffenheim have won 14 games, 6 of the last 7. Everything points towards a Hoffenheim win, but you can't always go for the favourites because the favourite doesn't always win. So I'm going for a 2-2 draw. After this, it is Wolfsburg up against Augsburg, the Berg derby. And this is going to be another really, really exciting one. And I've gone for goals again. Wolfsburg-Leipzig ended 2-2. Augsburg got a great win over Heidenheim 1-0. I say great just because they locked in the 3 points. Beating Heidenheim is pretty easy by most team standards. They've lost 15 times this season. But Wolfsburg are in poor form. Augsburg are in good form. I'm going to go for a high-scoring 2-2 draw. And again, the tip is both teams to score and over 2.5 goals at 1.95. I do tend to tip both teams to score a lot in the Bundesliga because it happens a lot. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to get winning selections. Now, after this, it's probably game of the week for me. Maybe Bayern and Eintracht Frankfurt is, but I just could see Bayern Munich really running away with this one. I think this one is going to be very close. It's RB Leipzig up against Borussia Dortmund. Leipzig, when you think you've got a handle on them, they go and do something weird. So for me, Leipzig personally are on the no bet list. However, it's the most Leipzig thing to do to really dent Borussia Dortmund's title hopes here. And on top of that, Borussia Dortmund have one of the hardest ties for a team as good as themselves in the Champions League against Atalanta. It is one of the ties, the only tie in the Champions League where the bookies can't decide who goes through. So it's going to be essentially the most demanding and the trickiest tie for both teams. Dortmund and Atalanta both 1.9 odds to qualify. So I do think, as tricky as RB Leipzig are to predict, I think they can take advantage of that. Dortmund have lost 1 game all season, and I predicted that. It was the Bayern Munich game. I'm going to go for a Leipzig win. Stranger things have happened. Dortmund could win, and Leipzig are actually home favourites here, and I think Borussia Dortmund's efforts in the Champions League will tie into that. Now, this might change if Borussia Dortmund play tonight, I think at the time you're watching this, and they batter Atalanta 5-0. I think it's less likely that Leipzig win. And I do expect Borussia Dortmund to beat Atalanta at home in the first leg, but I don't think it will be an insurmountable lead for Atalanta in the second leg at home. So I think Dortmund will focus the Champions League in that sense and might slip up against a decent Bundesliga side in RB Leipzig. So I'm going for 2-1. But in case it is a Dortmund win and both teams to score, in case it's a 2-2 draw, 3-3 draw, the tip is going to be both teams to score and over 2.5 goals again, this time at odds of 1.61. Again, this is a bit of a gut feeling, having to take into account Champions League and Europa League a lot this week in my European prediction videos. I just think maybe this is a very tricky fixture for Dortmund to have away at Leipzig, sandwiched in between a knockout Champions League tie. So I'm going to go for RB Leipzig. After this, it is Freiburg up against Borussia Monchengladbach. This is a tricky one because Freiburg are home favourites. I can see why. Gladbach have been underperforming. They just got spanked by Eintracht Frankfurt. But this, to me, looks closer than the odds suggest, and I can't pick a winner. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. But I am going to shade the home side. I'm going to side with them slightly. And the tip is going to be Freiburg double chance and under 3.5 goals at 1.66. Sure, this game might have 10 goals in it. It's the Bundesliga. You never know. But that's why I think there can be some value in looking unders at times. So I'm going for a 1-1 draw. After this, it is St. Pauli up against Werder Bremen. St. Pauli, in my eyes, one of the weakest teams in the Bundesliga. Werder Bremen are massively underperforming this season. They are right there in the relegation playoff spots. And if St. Pauli win this game, which I think they could do, I make them slight favourites. The bookies make it completely even. Then they would leapfrog Werder Bremen and get out of the automatic relegation zone and into a relegation playoff place. So this is a massive 6-pointer, whichever way you look at it, and the bookies can't separate them. I can't separate them either. I think it'll be an uncharacteristic with regards to the Bundesliga cagey affair. I'm going to go for a 0-0, and the tip is actually going to be draw at odds of 3.1. I don't think either team will want to concede. I don't think any team's going to throw the first punch. I think it'll be low scoring, and I'm going to actually tip a draw at 3.1, which is my highest odds tip of the day. After this, it's Heidenheim up against VfB Stuttgart. Now, again, we have European fixtures to consider. Stuttgart with a decently difficult tie against Celtic in the Europa League, but if you watched my Europa League prediction video yesterday, you will know that I really fancy Stuttgart against Celtic. I predicted them to win the first leg 3-1 away from home, and if they do that, they will qualify at home in the second leg with no dramas. And with that being said, they're playing Heidenheim, who have been the worst team in the Bundesliga this season. They've lost 4 in a row, so although a lot of results this week I'm saying I think will be impacted by European knockout football, this to me isn't one of them. I think it might be a little bit closer. I think Heidenheim can score, but ultimately I'm saying that Stuttgart will still win 2-1. I think just because a team has a knockout fixture to play, it doesn't mean that they're incapable of getting the players back together and winning another game that they definitely should win a few days later, knowing that they've got a few more days to rest before the second leg in not in Scotland, in Germany. So I think Stuttgart can win this, and for that reason the tip is VfB Stuttgart to win at 1.7. I think the odds are a bit higher to reflect their involvement in the Europa League, but ultimately they should be able to beat Heidenheim. So there's a summary of my picks. A really exciting week. It would be a big home win for Mainz to continue distancing themselves from the relegation zone. I think Bayern keep the pace at the top of the league, and if RB Leipzig get the job done against distracted Dortmund, then perhaps the Bundesliga could once again be considered all but sewn up. But with that being said, let me know your predictions down in the comments below. And flashing up on the screen are all the people that are supporting me over on the Patreon. Like I said, we reached the member goal, so I will be doing a $100 giveaway. If you want to enter that, click the link in the description. But what else do you get? You of course get the shout out in every single video. You get access to the group chat, which has been absolutely popping off over the last few weeks. You can also message me directly. I've had individual members message me asking me for 3-1, 5-1, 10-1 ACCAs and get bets that win on their own because they messaged me privately. So you can message me privately. You also get entrance into every single Patreon giveaway that I do if you are a member, and you get access to my league and predictions, my score prediction and tip for each and every single game, which is a Patreon exclusive. So if you want all of that stuff, then please do check out the Patreon using the link in the description. Leave your predictions down in the comments, drop a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video very soon.